Unit 3, Gateway. War is inconceivable without some image or concept of the enemy. It is the presence of the enemy that gives meaning and justification to war. War follows from feelings of hatred, wrote Carl Schmitt. War has its own strategic, tactical, and other rules and points of view, but they all presuppose that the political decision has already been made as to who the enemy is. The concept of the enemy is fundamental to the moral assessment of war. The basic aim of a nation at war in establishing an image of the enemy is to distinguish as sharply as possible the act of killing from the act of murder. However, we need to be cautious about thinking of war and the image of the enemy that informs it in an abstract and uniform way. Rather, both must be seen for the cultural and contingent phenomena that they are. Exercise 1. 3-year-olds don't have to deal with the same rules and realities adults do. Because of that, children tend to be more imaginative and creative with their ideas. They see possibilities where the rest of us see rules, boundaries, or impossibilities. That's why they're famous for writing on walls. You see a perfectly painted living room that shouldn't be touched. They see a blank canvas. Even if it's just for 30 minutes, seeing life from the angle of a semi-careless child can give you a new perspective on how you spend your time and deal with household problems or work challenges. For that reason alone, it's valuable to imagine yourself acting as you would if you were just a child, free-spirited, boundless, uncontrollably creative, and unafraid to try new things. Exercise 2. Most linguists and local community members agree that education and literacy in the local language are necessary to maintain vitality or to revitalize a language threatened with endangerment. Some local communities reject this notion, wanting to preserve their oral traditions and to rely solely on them. There is, however, a cost to this decision, as it limits the domains in which the language can be used. Regardless, most regard literacy as essential for local languages, yet more than half of all languages have no written form, and so a writing system needs to be developed for them in order to use them in education and literacy programs. Basic pedagogical and reference materials are needed, including textbooks, dictionaries, and usable descriptive grammars. Such materials are readily available for languages of wider communication, but not for the majority of local languages. In addition, reading material is needed for literacy as well. Exercise 3. There is a misconception that older people belong to a special tribe, all with the same problems, opinions, and attitudes. Yet older people are just as different from each other as are members of younger generational groups. How can it be otherwise in view of the wide range of different experiences everyone has as their life progresses from childhood to old age? There are differences formed by family backgrounds, education, careers, and relationships. All these help shape a person's character and outlook on life. This does not confer superior virtues on the elderly. They may have wisdom, good humor, and tolerance, but are just as likely to be cantankerous, boring, and narrow-minded. Like everyone else, the old are a mixed bunch, but each is an individual with their own particular interests and personality. Exercise 4. While we usually think negatively of deviance, it actually can prove functional in a society. Any hostility toward deviance promotes behavioral conformity with social expectations. It strengthens group identity by separating the non-conforming from the well-behaved members, centering on an agreement on the norms. We may be familiar with the phrase, "the exception makes the rule." Deviance shows us the boundary or line that must not be crossed, highlighting not only the importance of the norm, but its relative permissible zone for behavior. For example, if there is a rule that food is not permitted in the classroom, a person with the candy bar or bag of chips might not be admonished by the teacher. Yet, a person arriving to class with a fast food meal experiences rebuke and ejection. Others in the class now know where the line is drawn and can adjust their patterns of behavior accordingly. Exercise 5. You can save yourself a lot of time and energy if, over the next few years, you give serious consideration to what is most important to you and what you want to do with your life. Avoid the myth, however, that you are supposed to come up with some ambitious, detailed life plan and then follow it until the end of the rainbow. Things happen that are unexpected and unforeseen. Events in the world will alter the landscape. Opportunities will come your way that you never would have considered before. Friendships and networking will open up other possibilities. Your priorities and values will evolve as you gain new experiences and are exposed to other options. Anything you plan now will likely shift as you learn new things, develop new skills, and grow in new directions. In fact, it is imperative that you remain open to these changes. Exercise 6. If you have a new job and you are going to resign from your current job, may I make a common sense suggestion? Unless there is a very special circumstance, I strongly suggest you not resign from your current job with only the verbal agreement or an informal email telling you that you have the future job. I get chills up my spine when people do this or even consider it. There is still that chance something unforeseen could happen between the verbal offer and actuality. You should announce your intention to resign from the job only when you have in your possession a written and signed offer or employment contract on company letterhead with an accompanying start date for your new job. For me, this is as much an issue of common sense as suggesting you should look both ways before crossing a street. Exercise 7. Whether you're a wrestler planning to win a league title next season, or a student with an entrepreneurial spirit who wants to start your own business and build a successful career, you need to plan the right steps. And don't get caught up in thinking that any success you experience as a student has no bearing on or relationship to future success in the real world. You are in the real world, your world. Success now breeds success later, even if the fields or venues change. Don't discount what you might consider small successes. Michael Jordan's first step to basketball success was making his high school team after being cut earlier. Your successes, however great or small, in academics, social clubs, fine arts, or sports, can pave the way to future success. What's important at the moment is not how much you achieve, but how much you learn about the process of achieving. Because once you learn the process, you can apply it in the field or area of your choice, where you want to use the gifts you have. Exercise 8. Whenever our urge is to fight a specific biological change, we should ask the following triplet of questions. Will our efforts have made much difference a few hundred years hence? If not, this means we are fighting a battle we will inevitably lose. Next, Will our great-grandchildren's great-grandchildren be that bothered if the state of the world has been altered, given that they will not know exactly how it is today? If the answer to this second question is no, this means we are fighting battles we do not need to win. If change is inevitable, which it is, we should then ask a third question. How can we maximize the benefits that our descendants derive from the natural world? In other words, how can we promote changes that might be favorable to the future human condition, as well as avoid the losses of species that might be important in unknown ways in future?